You're watching AMSnews.TV, the business connection for all local and national businesses.
Hey brother, it's wake up time, so get your head up out of the sand.
Thank you for joining our show. I'm Shirley, and you're watching Successful Living right here on AMSnews.TV. And we have here with us Mr. Malone talking about 100 Fathers, Inc. and some of his accomplishments down through the years. So Mr. Malone, we're back to you. We were talking about how that we know that a mother and father is God's perfect way, but many times it doesn't happen like that. And of course, we don't throw the water out with the baby because there's still hope. So how is your organization dealing with that?
My organization is different from many others. We recognize the importance of mothers and women to be a part of this movement. As a matter of fact, last year when we marched in the Martin Luther King March, we had fathers, mothers, and children. Because in order for us to change the life of a man and transform him, that mother has to participate. It's no good for us to work with as master trainers. We're certified fatherhood master trainers, which means we have hundreds of workshops that we can teach men to be a better man, father, and dad. But if he goes home and mom's not on the page, it's not going to work. And so we also have women in our organization. I have my COO, who is Miss Stephanie Perry. I have my executive secretary, Miss Akila Clark, that keep us on point and balance our thoughts. And each one has talents and treasures that they bring to this movement because they know that their children need a positive, affirming man in their lives. And when a man is in, let me say this, 75% of the young men that are locked up right now never had a father in their life. They had a mother, but they didn't have a father. Somebody say, hold it, wait a minute, we're not going there. And we need to balance out. That's not to take away from the great work that mothers do, but a young man needs to be taught by a man. There are some women who are exceptions to the rule, but everybody is not an exception. And you need fathers and men who are positive that can lead that young man with 5 things: love, connection, engagement, which brings enlightenment, what leads to empowerment. But if you don't love them, don't mess with them.
I often hear people say, especially about our young people, Mr. Malone, they don't really want to hear from you. They don't really want to hear how much you've done or got. They want to know that you really care. And then when they know that you really care, you got their ear.
I just told someone that today. Kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. That's absolutely true. And it's all in the Bible. It's called love. You got to give them some love, and kids know if you care or if you don't care. Another thing we do is we do the rites of passage, because manhood is a progression of leading to the next step. And so we go into the schools and we teach manhood, what that means, fatherhood, respect. We deal with what power is. We deal with racial discrimination and how that keeps them from becoming successful, and how to navigate the pitfalls that would surely keep them from being a successful person. And realize this, from 18 to 24, the number one thing that's keeping our young men away from success is violence and death. That violence and death comes from the inability to understand reactionary masculinity syndrome. According to Dr. Amos Wilson, and we believe this, when a young man has no knowledge of manhood, is full of disrespect, especially for women, has a need for power, but that power manifests itself in material things, not things of the inside, but the outside. When there is no father to lead them on the path, and coupled with racial discrimination, it brings what's called the failure of masculinity through reactionary masculinity syndrome. And what we do is get our young men.
What is that, sir? Explain it to our
Reactionary masculinity syndrome is when a man thinks that he is a man, but is guided by the world and not by the real qualities of affirmation, authenticity, and availability, and is not led by a man to do manly things that are right. We often say, if you think right, walk right, act right, and talk right, everything is going to be all right. And so we teach this by example. You cannot fake, go in front of some young men or some men coming out of jail and be someone other than who you are. It must be this movement, which I'm talking about, has to be led by example. You can't fake it.
And they can pick up a fake.
Absolutely.
Immediately.
Absolutely.
That just goes I'm completely taken aback because everything goes back to the Bible, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
God even told us to be pure in our hearts, which is just simply another word of being genuine.
Absolutely.
You know, not to have anything up your sleeve other than wanting to serve. Because to become the Bible says, to become the greatest in the kingdom,
Is to serve.
you've got to become the servant of all.
There it is. Yes.
And so we're going to talk more with Mr. Malone in just a moment. We'll be right back.